We had one dime also. And then your teachings and your integrity, your ethic lent hope and applied it. And I can't tell you how it's changed our lives. I'm very grateful. I just got to tell you, God bless you. Thank you so much. And I have not enough words to describe how grateful I am for you, Seth. You've changed our lives.
Just share freely, what's been great, what's not been good. Like, I want this to just to be a genuine conversation about Done For You, what your experience has been. I might talk a little bit about like Amazon FBA Mastery, why did you join that, etc.
Terrific. This is going to be exciting.
Okay. And where are you right now? I'm just curious.
I'm in Westchester, New York. Yeah, that's literally where I am right now. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been to Austin, Texas?
No, but I've always been inclined going there, and I'll tell you why. Because that's Southern hospitality. I mean, I've met some. Sorry if I get a little bit naughty here, but some nice, good-looking girls, and you guys have the best-looking girls. Good looks and Southern hospitality. Oh my God, that's deadly.
It's a good combination, right?
My wife might divorce me, I think.
You're like, I got to stay in New York if we want to stay married. I love it. That's too funny. Let me ask you this. And again, be totally honest and open, brother. How can Done For You improve? Tell us what we suck at. Be honest. Like, what do we do that's not good? How can we get better? And just for everyone listening, you can ask George. I didn't prep him for the interview. I didn't even tell him what questions I was going to ask him. In fact, I don't got any notes. I just want to have an honest conversation for two reasons. One, I want people to know what it's like on the inside. But two, you do have a really powerful story. And so I hope that motivates and helps others. But just tell me your honest feedback. Give us advice, brother.
To be very honest with you, if I could, the thing is that, it's business. And then it's just, business is business. It has ups and downs. So you have to be super patient. You can't come in there and say, okay, this is automatic. That's the one where you get a little bit where you're like, oh, that's it. This guy is successful. It's going to rock solid. So I think that when you have the perspective, like, it's business and you need to be patient, the integrity is sincerely there. They do all the right things. They're motive, they're ethical. They're doing the right. Also, I'm an Amazon guy, I see what you guys are doing. I know you guys are doing the right things. It's COVID. All hell breaks loose now with COVID, supply chain, all stuff like that. So you got simply patient. What can you do to better? Well, you guys have already started doing, you did the main thing, which was the communication. But I didn't bark so much on the communication because I saw it. It's like, hey, there's the raw product. You got to start somewhere. We can pinpoint all we want, but we're part of that team. Let's support them like they want to support us. They shouldn't be on eggshells to try to take care of us also. This is a partnership. Together, we're going to try to help each other out. Well, my guy is Danilo. Not Danilo, I have a weakness for because Danilo is like, I know he wears a lot of hats. I mean, he's doing a lot of things, but what a gentleman he is. He took us under. And we loved him. My wife and I, we clicked with him. And he, again, very honest, very compassionate, and hardworking, has experience, knows his stuff. I'm getting there was one time I asked him a question, hey, and I said like, okay, but that's an interesting angle. That's like a master's angle, that's big time knowledge. I'm like a little small fry. I'm humbled, I listen, you might learn something, George. That's all I kept on saying. It's like, and let's see again, things are always working out for me. Just be patient because it's going to work. And I say that to kept on saying that it's going to work.
How has it been? You don't share your actual products, but tell us, how are the products doing? What's been great? What's been disappointing with Done For You, George?
So we have 3 products. So one of the products is selling, and we're happy. We're excited with that.
Is it selling profitably?
Not yet. Right now, it's going through the PPC process, and organically, it's reached that level. and maybe it's going to get better. I know it's going to get better. It continues to get better. But right now it's reached its organic capacity, and it's starting to create the kind of momentum that is going to create success. It's found it's already ranking, I think, #1 as far as overall review. So it's also a very innovative kind of product. So anyway, yeah. So that one, the other two are still going through the process because they got in late because of the supply chain issues. So we gotta be patient, very patient with that. Yeah. So no profit yet, but it's only the first stage. So like you guys taught us, and Danilo reiterated, the first stage you're going through building organics, getting your ranking, and then the second stage you're gonna start seeing potentially some profits if there aren't any hiccups.
Yeah. How long ago did the first product launch?
Sorry, the first product launched about 5-6 months ago.
How well is it selling right now? Is it selling once a day, once a week, 10 times a day? Like, what are those sales like?
Right now, it's around 2 to 4 sales per day, and it has a beautiful margin. And it's about to sell out. So I'm very excited about that. So great momentum happening.
So real quick, George, just real quick, when you say as a margin, so you mean the sale, it's profitable on the sale. But when you say you're not profitable yet, you mean profitable from the development fees, the ROI, or actually the PPC on the sale is high enough, so high that margin isn't there yet?
I'll be very honest with you, and I guess maybe this would be a little bit of a thing that I would like to inquire about, is that I really don't know how the profit margins are laid out. Like the actual cost, I have an idea, but as far as like what is expected expense to transport, and then customs, all these added expenses, how does it factor in as far as the impact on the margins? So I don't have that. I don't have that information. So the sales are there, but I don't know what the bottom line what the bottom line is on the product. So for that reason, I'm blind to it.
Yep. And that is good information because that's something we need to make sure you're aware of. So that's great. I mean, that's probably the best feedback so far right there in this meeting is you telling me that makes me realize, hey, we need to make sure we're proactively explaining these things so you know. And I can tell you, I mean, I can't tell you the specifics because your store builder handles that. I work with them, I manage them, and then they work with you directly. But I can tell you for any customs fees, shipping, those kinds of things, it's broken down per unit. So let's just say, for a simple example, you had 1,000 units and the shipping was $1,000 and that included the customs fees, then that's going to be $1 per unit as part of your COGS, plus your manufacturing, plus your Amazon fees. So whatever's left over after PPC is considered a profit. So what it sounds like to me, and we can go back and double check on this, is you haven't had an ROI yet on your upfront development fees. But if you have a margin on those, then the sales are profitable, but not to a point where you're actually had an ROI where you're up to 100%, which is where we need to get. So thank you. This is really good feedback. Well, hey, could you tell me, why did you join Just One Dime Amazon FBA Mastery? Even before you got to Done For You, like what was the reason? What motivated you? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so basically, I didn't really join the Mastery program, but what happened was that I had actually, I was challenged with health issues. So I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and what happened was that my body was just falling apart. And then I had to leave my job, and I couldn't do my job physically. And so here I am home trying to figure out a way to sort of still provide to my family. And I came across your videos, and there was so many videos out there, but this was the Seth Kniep'n. And in all honesty, I loved your integrity. It was just like that integrity. And then you were so sincere and passionate. That's a key word for me, that passion, because that lines up with my spirituality in many ways. But the integrity, passion, it was just like it's like, I know you're married. It's like, you meet the love of your life. It was like, oh my God. I mean, I love you in a different way.
No, I understand.
But when I saw you, I was like, wow, I really like this guy. He's raw, he's real, he's got integrity, and so I started listening to you. I subscribed. I listened to your I listened to your stuff, and I started applying some of the tips because I was financially in a very, very difficult position also because of my health issues. I couldn't provide to my family. it was like an ugly time, Anyway, long story short, here I am not meticulously taking every note and starting to apply things. And I would listen to every video and basically just go skimmer through every video, take notes. And everything you were saying was like, this guy knows what he's doing and he's authentic. So I was just, every video that you started putting out, I would just really go. And then, as you know, you've been in the business for the longest time. No flattery here at all, but you skim through things. So once you start doing things, you hear things like, okay, so I can use that information. I won't use that information. I'll use that information. Oh, wow. And then so it became like a love affair with information that you were sharing. I just was soaking it in. And then I was getting like these little momentums of results that really start to create like, oh, wow, I made my first sale. Oh, wow. $100. Woo-hoo-hoo. And then, $100,
It feels good, doesn't it? Your first sale, it feels so good. I remember my first paycheck from Amazon. Technically, it was a deposit. It was right around $15. And I thought, if I can do that once, I can do that a million times. But it felt so amazing.
Oh, my God. It was just magical. I just didn't really believe it would happen. But I did. I really put it, I put my intentions out there because with my health issues, I started practicing positive affirmations. So I started putting my intentions out there and I said, this is going to happen. And then I just sort of gravitated to your information with all due respect, maybe a couple other people too. But your information really was the cream of the crop. And again, no flattery here. You can ask my wife, and you'll meet her one day, hopefully. But it was like, this guy, just giving me a lot of great information. I really think that we can, I can maybe make something. And she didn't believe me. I don't know if you came across that with your wife. She was like, okay, all right, try. You can try.
Oh, at the first, it wasn't that she didn't believe in my intentions. It was more when I remember creating this spreadsheet and saying, look, if we can get this many sales by this time, we can get to 100,000. And she's kind of like looked at me and she's like, gave me the look. You get to know your wife so well, you can read what she's saying without her saying anything. It was, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I got the same thing.
And that motivated me. I'm like, okay, I got a mission, man. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I have to prove to her I can do this.
Right. And then your tips specifically were translating into results. That's the thing. Once I got some momentum going, I was like, oh boy, this is no joke. I was jumping up and down. I'm like, oh my God, I got my first listing. And look at this, the second listing. Well, let's just keep replicating this. Let's keep doing this. And third, fourth listing, fifth listing, and everything was not solid because I was following every instruction you were giving me. How to perfect the listing, how to request for reviews, how to focus on quality, And you're talking, by the way, you're talking to a guy. My background is like, I worked in the medical field, but then I sort of gravitated because I got laid off. I gravitated to sales, and I was like, oh wow, I'm pretty good at this stuff. People like me, because I by the way, I'm a person of integrity. I got a mother and father, Greek background. They raised me the way that was, we'll do the right thing. Karma is whatever, the spirituality is. And I was doing the right thing, laying it out. And then it was all about quality, like give people the value. That was one of the instructions that you gave. Like, don't cheat. Like before I got into sales. And then when I got into sales, I was like, a sales guy, basically lie, white lies, you want to call it, do anything to get a sale, kind of thing. But then it became like Amazon, like, well, I could do that with Amazon, but I'm just hurting myself in long term. And this is not a short term business for me. I want to make this last.
Totally. Because eventually, if you're not honest in the listing, people are going to figure that out. And those first sales don't make it worth it for the long-term brand value. 100%.
That's a mouthful. And that was it. And so I created quality. And that's why everything I was meticulous on every listing. I made it perfect. Exactly your instructions. I made it perfect. And when I made it perfect with that quality in mind, and then serving every customer with like they were me, I was talking to myself. They had an issue, I'm going to take care of them. I don't care if I take a loss, I'll eat it. I got to make them happy. They have to have the experience. These are words that you were teaching. And I just soaked it in and loved it. I applied it, and everything was just turning into gold. Talk about blessings. I don't know, miracles, the stars lined up, but I just followed everything to the T, and every listing became gold. And now I'm doing, look, I'm not a big time seller, but for a guy I pretty much do everything on my own, and I have a couple of virtual assistants. I got a $50,000 per month in sales. So not bad for.
What are your profit? That is not bad at all. What are your profit margins on that, George?
47%.
Wow. 47% on 40 to 50,000 a month. That's phenomenal. What happens in December? Do you see your sales go up a lot for your product category, or?
No, December doesn't apply to me because I'm in this kind of in a niche. I'm in the trash chute, laundry chute industry. So it's like a very niche area. And so it doesn't, it's unique parts and doors that are to that industry. So it's not hey, I'm going to go buy a trash chute door for Christmas, kind of thing.
Would you like a gift? It's a trash chute door. What are you going to use this for? No, that's what I like about it. And I appreciate you sharing the category. It is such a unique category. If you were to interview 100 people and say, hey, if you were to just become an entrepreneur, what product category would you settle on? Hey, if you were to interview 1,000 people, I guarantee you not one of them would say trash chute. No one. And that's what I like about it is you niched down and you decided to serve the few well instead of trying to be, well, I'm going to sell to everyone. Well, not everyone's going to be into that. So that's that's how you build a brand. I love that. Let me ask you this. So you did this watching the free YouTube videos, and thank you for the compliment. That's literally that makes my day to hear that our free videos allowed you to get to 40 to 50,000 a month, a 47 profit margin. That's awesome. But let me ask you this question. Why did you join Done For You, George? What was going on in your mind when you decided to sign up?
That's kind of very emotional, to be very honest with you. Look, I got into a point in my life where I was going to honestly die. So I was really in a bad shape. My life, I came very close to losing my life because of this MS thing. And then what happened was that I said to myself, well, my wife cannot run this business that I have. So it was a prayer. It was an answered prayer. It was literally an answered prayer. I basically just went to the bed and I said, wow, I just need to find some way to find a solution. If I can find a way to get something where somebody's doing this. And then literally 1 week later, I got this email from you. 1 week later, I did not hesitate for a second because I felt it was like God. It was an answered prayer. And I'm a person of faith. I don't know if you are a person of faith.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. And, miracles are happening. When I just sit there, I focus and I ask, you shall receive. And there it was. I just listened, wait. And there it was. I got on the phone. I told my wife, I don't care everything. If we got to take an Amazon loan, I want this. This is going to be, you don't have to do anything. They do everything for you. And, God forbid I'm gone. At least the kids and you will have something. And that was it. It was just, and then why you? Well, why you? You are integrity, authentic. You're real, and I knew I had a relationship with you. I felt like I had a relationship with you just watching your videos. I knew you work. Everything I created was you. Everything I created was you. So I didn't have absolutely no doubts. I said, absolutely no doubts. This is the guy. My wife was like, are you serious? I'm like, no, look, just watch the video. This guy I know I've been following from day one. This is the reason why I created my company, the company that we have.
George, how do you, if you don't mind me jumping in, with the multiple sclerosis that you have, and thank you for sharing that. And you said you were going to die. I have two questions, brother. Number one, how are you doing right now? And number two, How do you keep such a positive attitude? Because one thing that I and the team who works with you have noticed is you're always positive, yet you have this disease, if I can just be blunt, brother, and it could kill you. So how? I know people who they're healthy, they have everything they need, and they're miserable and they complain and whine all the time. How are you positive?
For me, honestly, it's pretty simple for me. And, everybody's uniquely different. But so anyway, the bottom line is that I use positive affirmations. And I say this thing to myself a lot. It's just words of affirmation. It's like, I literally say things. I don't want my mind to believe that I am who I am because of my physical thing. And what happens is that my insecurities tell me when I see my hands, I can't feel my hands, my legs. I say, oh my God, and I cry. I mean, I'm human, but I say things are always working out for me. That's what I say. George, things are always working out for you. And I've had this for 15 years. And I've had a couple of close calls. And things are always working out for me. And that's it. I'm excited. I always think positive like that. Things are going to work out. Things are going to work out. And look at it. I mean, my wife, she sees what's happened because of it. And I'm a product of that. Things are always working out for us, honey. Things are always working out for us. And now I have my older son, and I don't mean to bore you. He's an electrical engineer, top of class. I have my young one, 19 years old. Anyway, I'll bore you. Chef school. My wife is phenomenal. I love my wife. My wife is the best.
George, what I love about this is I ask you how you do it, and you say basically mental fortitude. You make a decision to be thankful. You make a decision to have a positive perspective, and then you give credit to your children and your wife. Like, the world needs to hear this. This is a message the world needs to hear. There's so many people in the world today where it's almost become trendy to be ungrateful. People who are perfectly healthy, and your life has come to the edge, the pinnacle, the peak of death multiple times, and you're sitting here being thankful. Like, this is phenomenal. So I know that was a little, rabbit trail, but I really, really wanted to talk about that. So thank you for sharing. Let me ask you this question, George. If you could change anything with Done For You, what would it be?
I honestly, on the surface, it's just like, I want to be profitable, but everybody does. But beyond that, no, I think we're with the right people. It's fun, and the communication has improved dramatically. Love the turnaround time now on the communication. At first, it was, Danilo it was hard for him because I know he had a lot of things, and the staff that was supporting him, they were also have many hats on. It's tough to criticize. I don't think that I would. I would think maybe that the only thing is just, I would love to see that kind of breakdown. For example, I did provide Danilo an Excel sheet, of how I break down each product, which is basically what you have taught me. Every little nook and cranny, just basically all these expenses, and then what's my bottom and what's my return. What is my bottom line? What do I earn after everything's done? So I shared with him an Excel sheet, and I said, can you show me how the impact of now the expense of Amazon global shipping is impacting on the bottom line, because this is a pretty big expense. So that would be lovely. I'd love to get that. I would like to see, because, and of course now with COVID, I don't know if this is asking too much, but that would be a nice thing. Like, okay, well, now look at the impact. Now the cost of the product, the factories now are charging more. So now that the price has gone there and the shipping has gone there. So now that everything has changed.
Exactly. How does that adjust? How does that change the margin? Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's for me, every time there's a change, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Seth.
That's good.
But every time something changes, and FBA, any expense that changed, I have in my Excel sheet. I just change it. So my margins are always changing. So I see live what's happening. So that would be an exciting thing to see from you guys.
Yep, absolutely. So this is really good feedback. Thank you. It's funny because just this morning, I got a WhatsApp message from Harks, one of our earliest Just When I'm students. He has a brand now. It's selling like crazy. And he called me and he's like, Seth, just so you know, the what's happening with the international logistics has slowed us down. Like he's still selling. It's doing well, but he's like, man, like we could not have seen this coming, but we're still moving forward. And he was just sharing with me an update. So we're seeing it everywhere. But at the same time, this is really good feedback. So thank you. Let me ask you one more question. What advice, especially with your situation with multiple sclerosis, and I don't mean to harp on that, but I think people need to hear this story, brother. What advice would you give to other people in your shoes? Whether it's a health situation, whether it's a done-for-you investor, whether it's someone who wants to start their own business, what would you tell them if they're feeling discouraged, distraught, fearful, hopeless, any of those things? What would you say to them, George?
I think that the first thing is that when you're in a place of no hope, like when you think that when you're depressed, honestly, here's what it comes down to. When you're depressed and you feel like you have nothing, you need to, as hard it is to hear this one, you need to start something called, what I believe, momentum. You have to. And so it's like, okay, well, from if you're going from zero, which is depression or whatever your situation is, and you're fantasizing glimpses of thoughts of $1 million or whatever your dreams are, you can't go from 0 to 1 million. You just can't. The universe doesn't work that way. What you need to do is you need to create what is called momentum. So what you need to do is you need to just take the step and have some faith. Just, you're depressed, you feel like the world's going to, just ignore that noise and say, take a step and create some positivity, something, have a little faith, just have a little bit, try it, just give it a shot. Try it. And then momentum starts to flow. One little thing, it gets you excited. And then next it's called, instead of momentum, it goes from momentum to, oh my God, I'm excited. And passion. And then you start rolling. And so that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, it starts to accelerate and feed itself. George, thank you so much for being on this interview. Thank you for sharing freely and openly. Thank you for your story. Thank you for being an example of gratitude and mental fortitude and emotional strength. I love you, man. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely.